Hey everyone, welcome. We are here today with the incredible, inspirational, beautiful, best-selling author of True Grit and Grace, Amberly Lago. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here and finally get to talk to you and see your beautiful face.
Oh, likewise. Guys, if you guys don't know, she is I would have to say, the medicine that you have been craving because
Oh.
her journey has been one of such power. As a human, we all go through our struggles, our obstacles, but ultimately, it is our unrelentless courage, right? It's that belief. And that is what Amberly Lago is all about, is her beliefs. So, Amberly, tell us a little bit about the beginning of your journey and where you began, where you started to just start with this belief within yourself.
Well, I tell you what, I never imagined that my journey would lead me to sitting here with you having a conversation. I mean, I'm so honored to be here. And, my whole life I was a dancer. So I spent all my time on the dance floor. And then I was a personal trainer for 22 years. So I spent all of my time on the gym floor. And I didn't even own a computer. I really didn't even own a computer. I would do things, barely did email on my phone or whatever. But after my motorcycle accident, when my world was completely turned upside down, I woke up from a coma. I thought that doctors said they were going to amputate my leg. I had a 1% chance of saving it. And it was crazy. That wasn't even an option for me because my fitness, my leg, it was my life. And so it was my livelihood. So it took 34 surgeries, but they saved my leg. But now suddenly I was rock bottom. I mean, I had lost my career, my happiness, my confidence. My leg was completely scarred up. I was told I would be permanently disabled after I was diagnosed with a nerve disease called it's called complex regional pain syndrome. It's dubbed the suicide disease. And that's when my recovery journey truly began because I thought, okay, after the accident, I'd broken my leg before. You heal, you get back up, you move forward. Well, when I found out I was going to be in pain for the rest of my life, like every day, wake up and figure out how to get through the day. I used to pace people. One of my first jobs was pacing people to run marathons. And now suddenly, I never imagined that I would have to reteach myself just to pace through one day of dealing with pain and all the emotions that come along with it and all the self-limiting beliefs and all the doubt. And like you said before, it takes courage because I had to really admit that I needed help. So I had to really accept where I was. And then I had to have enough courage to reach out, ask for help, and be humble enough to accept it. Because to me, I'm from Texas, and I was taught that, you cowgirl up, you be tough, you suck it up. You do not admit your vulnerabilities. You hide your crazy and be a lady. And I didn't want to admit that something was wrong with me because I felt like people would look at me like I was weak, or it really boiled down to I thought it would show people that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't capable. And to my surprise, it was just the opposite. It actually, when I reached out for help, one person connected me to another person, and then one person connected me to another person. And before long, I had, a group of women that met weekly, and we could lift each other up and support each other. And that's what really helped me along because, I tried to do it on my own and I couldn't. I just couldn't. And I don't think we're meant to do it alone. I think we're here to see each other thrive and to help each other through the whole process of when we are hit in life with trauma, or we're dealing with some kind of trauma. And all of that led me to writing my book, True Grit and Grace. And that has been the most amazing journey because it has led me to the most amazing people that I'm so grateful for.
Amen. And what an incredible journey. So you mentioned your motorcycle accident on one of your posts, which I swear every single post, I'm like, yes, you speak to me, you speak to my soul.
Oh,
And I know I'm not the only one out there. Um, with your motorcycle accident, you mentioned, I saw like there was a word from all of the beautiful words that you posted, but there was one word that stood out to me on that motorcycle accident post, and that was forgiveness.
mm,
And so forgiveness is such a big, huge key, right?
mm-hmm,
In terms of being able to, I believe, ascend to greater heights. Um,
mm-hmm.
so tell me, what was your sort of struggle with forgiveness, and what was sort of, how did that impact you overall in ascending into your power and to your greatness?
Well, it's interesting because I've had a lot of people, well, especially the editor of my book. We got in an argument one day because he was like, he had added in some anger into the book, like I was so angry at the guy who hit me, and I was like, "Whoa, wait! You just added in some stuff that I didn't even write."
Oh, wow.
And this was actually my accountability partner when I was writing my book, and he said, "But yeah, but you." Anybody would be angry. People are going to think you are weird if you don't write that you were angry.
Oh
And
my,
I was like, well, I said I didn't have time to be angry in the hospital. I said, sure, there were times that I was upset, but I was frustrated with myself. I was angry with myself. I hated my leg because it didn't work properly, that it looked so ugly in my eyes, that it was all scarred up. But I feel like forgiveness is part of our growth, and we really can't move forward if we don't have forgiveness. If I was in the hospital focused on being angry at the guy who hit me, then I wouldn't have healed the way that I healed. I was only focused on getting through the day, eating the best I could, surrounding myself with good people. Like I had some of the most, amazing nurses, doctors. I had a team of doctors um, be- because it was a miracle that they saved it. And I had friends and clients that came in, and I don't think that I would have been able to, like I said, I think so much of our healing comes from forgiveness. And I know it's not always easy. I think one of the hardest things for me was just forgiving myself because there was so much. I had anger like towards myself, and it was the moment shifted when I could look down at my leg in appreciation for what it could do for me instead of looking down and being mad and angry and upset because of the pain it gave me or what it couldn't do for me. So I think forgiveness starts with really being in gratitude and focusing on what you do have in your life. I feel like the more that we focus on the good, the better our life gets. But if we're focused on living in that anger and living in that resentment, then we will keep attracting that. I think that if we focus on the good, then we just grow. Look, I feel bad for the guy that hit me. I sure wouldn't want to be responsible for putting somebody through that. I forgave him. Everybody has accidents. We all have accidents. Now, let me tell you, I wish it would have been nice if he came to me and apologized. I never got an apology,
Oh, he never
but
apologized to you.
no, he never apologized. And that's the thing in life, right? There are going to be some people that really hurt us, that
Absolutely.
really piss us off. But if we hang on to the anger or the resentment that we have towards those people, then they are robbing us of our joy. Don't give them that power. It's up to us to move forward And so, yeah, that was hard. That would have been nice. But like I said, if I hung on to that, what good would that do me? Instead, I thought, nope, I'm going to move forward. I am going to focus on what I can do. I am going to write a book about it. And so I can share my experience, strength, and hope with others. So if they're struggling, they can move forward too. And I thought, when I'm writing my book, if there is just one person that this speaks to, then I'll be fulfilled. I just was trying to, if I could touch one person's life, then I'll be fulfilled. And like I was telling you before we started our podcast,
Yeah.
the people that reach out to me through direct message or even a comment on one of my posts on Instagram, I read every single one of those, and I appreciate every single one of those, because I think that that is when we see that someone else has struggled and they got through it, it gives us hope that we can get through it too.
Amen. Yes. Oh, I love, love, love that. So I think about your story, and I think about how now knowing that he didn't even apologize to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very fascinating to me, because it's like we almost think like if they would just apologize to me, that would set me free. And in this case, it's like, no, you have the key to set yourself free, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
really acknowledging, well, where is this anger coming from? Maybe it's not towards that person that did something to me. Maybe it is towards myself. So
Mm-hmm.
if you hate yourself, right, to the point where like, you're just like, you're not doing anything for me, right? Like, why are
Yeah.
you doing anything? How can you learn to love yourself again?
Oh God, that was hard because I hated myself. I hated myself to the point that I did not want to live anymore. I had those thoughts of, well, this isn't the wife that my husband married. This isn't the mom that my kids had before. And it all boiled down to, I just didn't feel like I was enough. I took my health for granted. And, I had a fitness business. I had trainers that worked for me. It wasn't just something I did on the side. It was, I did fitness videos. I was sponsored by Nike at one time. I did Body by Jake infomercials. I mean, it was my life. And all of a sudden, I felt betrayed. I felt betrayed by my body when I was diagnosed with this nerve disease, and I hated myself. And I thought, it's not, I don't want to be here anymore. And thank God for, I can say, yes, it was because of my children that I thought, I need to set an example for them. My stepmother committed suicide, and I know how much pain that caused our family, and I didn't want to do that. So I did not want to do that to my family. And I think that it's a miracle. I think that we all have a light within us, and mine was barely flickering. But we have to find ways. If we can't love ourselves, we have to maybe reach out to somebody who can offer us some love until we can love ourselves. For me, what shifted for me, I think, also with that is I had gone to the doctor, and I had broken the titanium in my leg, and I went in, and, I could bend my leg in places that it wasn't supposed to bend. And he goes, well, yeah, I think we need to do an x-ray on this. And he sat in front of me and he put my leg in his lap. And my reaction was, oh, wow, he's putting, like, I felt so worthless and unworthy that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's putting my leg in his lap. And he looked at it like my leg was a masterpiece. I mean, he had performed 34 surgeries on it. This was his miracle leg that he
Right.
saved, the 1% chance of saving, and I had my leg. And I am telling you, something shifted in me from that day on. I thought, if he can love it, then maybe I can love it too. And I thought, maybe. maybe there's a chance. And all we need is that little spark in us, that little bit of hope that will give us that little shift that maybe every day, if we can just try, you have to be just willing to try. And I loved it a little bit more and a little bit more. And before long, I could actually look down at my leg and not hate it, but I accepted it, and then I loved it. I loved it for being there, for still for all the things that it could do, and that I was out of my wheelchair. I mean, I was told I was going to be wheelchair bound for the rest of my life because of my nerve disease. Then I was just proud, look, I can walk. Some days it's not that pretty, but I'm walking. And we are all capable of loving ourselves. And I'm not saying it's easy. Sometimes it's really hard, but it's possible if you just are willing to try.
I love that. I just kept thinking like you loved yourself, like you nursed yourself back to love.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Baby steps every day. And it was some baby steps. And, sometimes I have those that mind, the limiting thoughts that creep in my head, and I start telling myself all kinds of horrible things like, oh, I'm not good enough. Why did they ask me to do that? I'm not qualified. I'm not this. I'm not that. And man, I have to immediately replace that with a positive affirmation. And it's something that I do every single day. Shifting my perspective has been one of the key components that it's something I do every day in order to be resilient, because man, I can beat myself up all day long. And I have to shift my perspective constantly. And I think that it's amazing that we can all do that. A resilient body, having a resilient body starts by having a resilient mindset. It all starts with belief.
So you mentioned that also in another post that really stood out to me was how you kept being told like, oh, we're going to amputate your leg, or you can't be a trainer, right?
Yeah.
It was like, basically it was to the extent of that you kept being told no, no, no to everything that you wanted to create. So you had
Uh-huh.
that you have like your own self-limiting beliefs, because I feel like that's the human experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the ego kind of being like, yeah, right, like that's not gonna.
Yes.
And so with what you're saying in terms of your mindset, what sort of mindset practices do you do other than, sort of changing into the positive affirmation? What's something that you could give to the viewers that they could start using right away in terms of someone saying no to them, or maybe the inner voice is saying no to them about their, you know, dream or whatever they want to accomplish?
Well, I'm glad that you brought this up, because I have been told from the minute I was in the hospital to the day that I was being released to go home from the hospital, I was told no, no, no. Now, I'm not saying I had some incredible doctors, but I had some doctors that were like, I remember I had a doctor, I was like, I'm so excited to go home. I can't wait to get in my routine and train my clients and go for a run. And he goes, well, you're never going to run again, and I don't know if you'll be able to train clients, and you won't wear shorts again with all those scars. You probably won't want to wear shorts. And so after the initial like kick in the gut, because it really, sometimes when we have like somebody, like we feel so rejected, or we feel like they just told me no, like this was my dream, this was my excitement, and they just rained on my parade. It physically, I felt like I felt it in my solar plexus. But after that, it has been one of my biggest motivating moments, because I feel like for me, I am motivated when somebody says, oh, and believe me, I heard this a lot. Oh, you can't write a book. You don't even have a college education. Yeah, you're going to try to write a book. I was like, Oh, really? Watch me. Like my reaction, my default is to say, watch me, instead of being in that self-pity of why me? Why me? It's no, watch me.
Right.
Watch what I'm going to do. And not necessarily that I even have to prove it to them. I am proving it to myself. Look at what I can do. And I think that, it, like I said, the positive affirmations really come in handy. I think that we have to prepare ourselves for moments like that because unfortunately, there's going to be times in life when things don't always go our way. It'd be nice, but don't always go as planned. And so we really have to arm ourselves with the right tools to when something like that happens, we don't crumble, but instead we can gather those tools and continue to forge ahead. So I start every day with a morning routine. And I think it's so powerful when you start your day with a morning routine. Believe me, I want to get up. I want to look at my Instagram. I want to check email. I want to see what's going on Facebook. I want to turn on the news, and I stop myself and I don't do it. And I have a morning routine where I listen to music from Advanced Brain Technologies, and that it's a program I'm trying out. I listen to that as I'm making my coffee, and then I read out of some spiritual books. Then I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I write down a positive affirmation to get me through the day. And then I start my day. And I'm in no way affiliated with this app by any means, but I just love it, and I use it every day. It's called Calm. Have you ever heard of Calm?
Yes, of course.
I love it. And they have meditations.
Yes.
So I was never good at meditation, but with this app, I can do a 5-minute meditation, or it reminds me to breathe. And so I feel like if we do these things, if we count our blessings, if we live a life focused on our gratitude, when something comes along, we can get over it a lot easier than when we don't have our tools that we practice to really get our gain strength and strengthening our resilience. I was going to share with you too, like something happened when I was doing a big speaking event. I was in Utah, and I was sharing the stage with some of the biggest speakers. Like it was Mel Robbins, Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, Brendan Burchard, like all the top
The top
speakers.
ones, yes.
And then there was me. Okay.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, they all had their entourage with them. And then there was me. And so we're in the green room and we're sitting at a table, and it's this big round table, and we're all eating. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting at the table with all these people. And this guy that's sitting next to me, I didn't know who he was. And he looked at me and he goes, who are you here with? And I said, oh, well, it's just me. And he goes, oh, and I wish that I would have said, oh, I'm here with me. I'm Amberly Lago. Did you hear me speak on stage? But no, I was like, oh, just me. And a little while later, I looked at him and I said, well, who are you here with? He said, oh, I'm here with Jay, Lewis Howes, and Mel Robbins. And I was like, oh. So I'm like, who the heck? Who is he? So a little while goes by and I said, well, what exactly do you do? And he goes, oh, I'm an agent. And I said, oh, that's awesome. Well, I need an agent. And he goes, oh, well, no, I'm a boutique agent. And he like turned his shoulder, and I like in front of everybody. And I felt like I had been kicked in the gut. And I was like, oh my God. I had to go out and gather up and practice every single tool that I had in my toolbox, because I was about to go on stage and speak. And all of a sudden I felt so unworthy because of a comment that someone else said.
Right.
But we can't be affected of course it's going to affect us when people reject us, or people, even are mean or whatever. But if we have tools in our toolbox together, we can get over that and move forward. And that's what I talk about in my TEDx talk, is my PACER method. And that has helped me to overcome anxiety, fear, self-doubt, addiction. And that's what I share with so many people when I'm doing workshops, is how to tap into your resilience with PACER.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I love what you said about, I wish I would have said, like, I'm Amberly Lago. Like,
yeah, like simple as that.
Yeah. I'm like, you got it. I am the entourage. Like,
that's right. It's me.
Yeah, it's me. I'm here.
You don't know who I am. You ever heard of Amberly Lago?
Yes.
People talk to your people.
Exactly. So it's so interesting that kind of coincides with why it's so important to believe in yourself. So even if you're like the unknown person in a crowd of like all these well-known names, but you're there. You're there too, right? So it's like, obviously, like, there's someone that's saying you're at that level.
I mean, look,
being a big deal, but you're looking at them and being like, what am I doing here? Right?
Yeah.
So it's that belief in yourself. And then that agent was sort of like the universe's way of being like, you still don't want to believe in yourself? Okay. He's like, I don't believe in you either. And you're like, well, wait a minute. And there's that whole voice again, like, watch me.
And I think that, a lot of times we don't understand why situations like that happen. But every situation, as, uncomfortable or awful as it is, if we take it as a learning experience, it is gold, because that moment was probably the most important moment of my whole experience at that conference. So thank you very much. If he's listening, that agent, you will want me someday. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but it really taught me a lot. It helped strengthen the belief in myself. It's like, I feel like what you said, the universe will put you in check. Oh, you still don't believe in yourself? Right. Well, let me just test you a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. I got chills when you said that. I just got chills. Okay. So how do you keep your momentum up even when all you want to do is give up?
Oh my God. Let me tell you, there are so many days I just want to give up, just throw in the towel. Oh my gosh. It's like, I'm telling you, this past year and a half, I have had to use every ounce of grit, and by God's grace, I have gotten through it. I'm telling you, because you know what? Sometimes on social media, everything looks so, easy and fun. And I remember I was in the middle of my book tour, and I had a friend go, "Oh, it looks like you're having so much fun." And I was like, at the moment, I was in so much pain with my leg propped up. And I was thinking to myself, how am I going to make it to the next book signing? I'm dying. And I was like, it's so hard. It's like so hard to keep up with everything. And I tell you, it is because I have good friends, a good team of people that, I feel like you need somebody that kind of keeps you accountable. I couldn't do it without an amazing family. And so, like I said before, you don't have to do it alone. Like, don't try. Why should you try to do it alone? Ask for help. Here's the deal. I tried to do it alone. I felt like, I am so strong. I got this. I don't need anybody's help. Right. Well, I learned the hard way that with others to support us, when we have a team of people, we are stronger. We are unstoppable. And so I think it's so important to have friends and to have family. And if you don't, then start reaching out to people. And, let me give you an example, like Instagram. I have people all the time that will say, well, who does your Instagram for you? who does your social media? And I was like, that would be me. Like, that's why it doesn't look like it's all professional. And because I'm challenged technically to create those beautiful posts or whatever. So I'm like, it's me. Um, I remember when I started it, and I had, I started Instagram to keep up with my oldest daughter, and I had like 400 followers maybe. And it was all just posts of my dog and my daughters and whatever. And then I grew it slowly and slowly. And that was by reaching out to other people. So if there's somebody that's hearing this today and they're saying, oh, well, you can get through it because you're lucky, you have this community of people.
Right.
Well, you know, hard work puts you where your blessings can find you. It's about reaching out and being of service to others as much as it is reaching out to ask for help. The way I get through is by being of service to others. What keeps me going is the connections that I've made along the way. What fuels my passion is when I get a message from somebody that they were telling me they were suicidal, and my message resonated with them, and they have learned to practice gratitude and count their blessings and smile. And if I can do it, they can do it too. It is messages like that that just fill my soul. And that is what keeps me going. When you have a purpose, and you're passionate about it, man, I feel like you're unstoppable. Now, that doesn't mean we don't need to rest, because I've learned the hard way that we do need to rest. And when I talk about the PACER method, it stands for perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. And that last part of PACER, I swear, I was like, I'm just going to call it pace. I don't have time for rest. I'm going to call it pace. I'm just going to pace, which in my mind meant I'm on full throttle. I'm going full speed ahead. And I learned the hard way that we have to rest. We have to learn to strategically stop, and give ourselves the time to refuel and replenish and reboot. And we are so much better. We are, I'm a better mom when I rest. I'm a nicer and better wife when I rest. And so all these things that I've learned along the way, that, community is key, and learning to rest, which seems like a luxury in this time and day. Rest, it's like, oh my God, that's a luxury. It's not a luxury. It is a requirement that we must rest. We have to unplug. In our house, we just set a rule with the new school year: no electronics after 9 o'clock. And
Ooh.
it's hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard. But you know what? I want to set that example for my daughter. And I knew last night, I saw it at 9:10. I said, give me your phone. And there was a text message from this boy. And I'm like, oh man, I know she wants to read that text message, but give me the phone. Hand it over.
Sorry, like, please. It's like, we already went past 10 minutes. Like, let me just look. Let me just take a little look-see. But it's like, you're not, you're right. And there's so many different things out there that say that, like, even if you have your phone next to you, which I am guilty as charged, my phone will be right next to me. And there are times where I just like randomly will be in a deep sleep, and I will wake up for no apparent reason. And the first thing I do is check my phone. And I'm like, so I'm continuing this like perpetual cycle of not actually resting, but instead trying to like, I guess they call it FOMO, like the fear of missing out on like text, an email, a post.
Yeah.
It's like, now it's like, you're right. It's like when you rest,
self-care.
When you're resting, it's like there's a joy of missing out.
Yeah.
You're actually in that moment, and whatever that moment brings to you,
Because man, life goes way too fast. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, my youngest daughter, she's 11, and I said, I feel like it's going so fast. And I said, I feel like there was a good gap of 4 to 5 years that I just missed out on seeing her grow up, because she was 2 years old when my motorcycle accident happened, and my oldest daughter was going into 8th grade, which is huge. And I was in and out of hospitals, in and out of surgeries, in and out of, like staying in the hospital for 2 weeks, then getting out, being in a wheelchair, being out of a wheelchair. Like, it was a big deal. And so now I try to make the most out of every day that I have here by, I get in bed. Last night I got in bed with my daughter and I said, Ruby, we got out of the practice for a little while of saying what we're grateful for. I said, we really need to just tonight, because I do it in the morning, but at night I want to teach my kids, like, what was the best thing that happened today? What are you grateful for? Because I'll tell you what, it like lets you know how fortunate we are to have a bed to sleep in, to, have covers over us, to have a roof over our head, like the little things that can just slip by, that can be any moment in time taken away. It's like, I want to appreciate every little moment.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to close this with, do you have anything that you would love to tell, even like the part of you where you felt like you just didn't have any hope? Maybe there's something of value that you would like to give to someone who's out there right now listening, and they're like, she definitely inspires me, but I feel like maybe with my particular case or situation, it's a little different, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a little resistance there on their end. So what would you feel like you would like to say to them, even, or your past self?
Yeah, look, I struggled. I went from being the best times of my life and having the best health and having this beautiful family and having the career of my dreams, to being at the darkest point in my life where I was completely isolated. I was drinking to try to numb out the pain, emotional pain, physical pain. I had no hope left. And it took every ounce of energy and every ounce of courage just to pick up the phone, because when you're depressed, or look, I thought, well, my life's different. Like, people would understand if I was drinking every day because it's bad. Like, they would understand if I just gave up. But I had that little glimmer of hope that I want more out of life. And whoever's listening, you deserve more. You deserve to have the life that you have always imagined. And I'm going to tell you right now, it is possible. It is possible. And all you need to do is take one step today. And that is just to reach out to one person to start that process, so you can have a lifeline, have somebody to talk to. And just for me, the whole way I started was I had to be in acceptance that I needed help. And that doesn't mean that you're admitting defeat or that you're admitting that something's wrong. It just means that you are willing to take action to make your life the best that it can be. And with grit and grace, you can have resilience, and you can have that life that you've always imagined. So reach out to me, reach out to anybody. But I love connecting with people. And so reach out to me, whether that's on my website at amberlylago.com, or if you want to reach out on Facebook, if you're there, if you want to reach out on Instagram at Amberly Lago Motivation, just reach out. And I know it takes courage, but it took so much courage for me, but it is possible, and there is hope. And believe me, change is possible.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this, please, like Amberly said, reach out to her. You can also reach out to me. I also am a huge advocate for, realizing that we're all in this together, because that's what
Mhm.
we have in common. We're all humans.
Yeah.
Great news is that sometimes you're like, this is happening to me, so it can't happen to someone else. Of course it can. Actually, all those
Mhm.
thoughts, those feelings, we're all in this together. So reach out, get the help. Amberly, thank you so much for being here. And of
Thank you.
course, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. Let us know. I am so grateful. Love and light, peace, and may you all have abundance and blessings of a brand new day to start something fresh in your life.